Hey everyone, and welcome to Watch Parties here at CCC. I'm so excited that you are taking the time to pursue Jesus together. And if you've been with us the whole summer, you know we've been doing an interview style. We've been interviewing different leaders, friends from all over. And I'm really excited today because I have someone who's honestly known me since I was really little. Her name is Jessica Frieda. She is currently, her and her husband both work at the church I grew up in that's now called Freedom Life Church, and they're both doing amazing things, but she actually serves as the youth pastor at the church. And I, for those who attend this church, know that I'm the student ministries director. I follow these guys, I watch what they do, and they're doing an amazing thing. She has an amazing team around her, and she has so many students who are dedicated, being grounded in following Jesus. And so I'm so excited, Jess, to be talking to you today about that aspect of building young leaders, but mostly the biggest focus is going to be connecting with this students, specifically Generation Z, because that's the generation that we are targeting, that is growing up right now. But I'm really excited. But first off, how are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, definitely. So right off the bat, I would love to hear, in your opinion, what makes this generation unique from any other generation, Gen Z specifically?
Sure. So I'd say Gen Z is very different than any generation before, just because they have never known life without technology. So
Mhm.
I can think of the start of just the start of the internet, just at my early childhood. Like there were times before we had access to the world, in our
Right.
pocket. And this generation right now, they've never known life without access to any information they need at any time. And so because of that, they are different. Every generation that goes through has their own spin just based on life that's happening in the world.
Mhm.
This generation probably, the last couple of years, they've been hit very differently. This will shape how they approach the rest of their life. This
Yeah.
COVID, everything, the pandemic, everything has just been, it'll shape how they look at everything. So I'd say, I guess most specifically, the technology, though, it has to be the biggest thing for this group
Yeah.
of people, because they can have access to information constantly. They want to know information constantly. But because of that, there's a little bit of a disconnect. I know we'll talk about that between this generation and the other generations around them, because
Mhm.
uh, previously through history, the generations would, teach to the next, how you do things. But this generation, their teacher oftentimes is YouTube, or
Yeah.
whatever. I can just find that out right here. I don't need to go speak with an adult about this. I could just look it up and find it on the internet. So that's something that's very unique about this generation. But there's a lot of awesome things about them. They're very something I would say that's actually different about this generation than like millennials. I'm a texting generation. I text messages were launched in my young years, and even before that, the older millennials would be like, AOL Instant Messenger. Everything switched
Right.
from phone calls to texting, and so we are very like, I'm still this way. If someone gives me a phone call, I'm like, oh man, like talk
Same.
on the phone. This is awful. But this generation, actually Gen Z, they're straight to FaceTime. So they're actually kind of returning in a way to face contact.
Mhm.
It's really interesting. All my youth kids, like when they call each other, it's not a quick phone call or a text. They'll FaceTime each other. Like, where are you
Yeah.
right now? It's just interesting. So there is a returning, I think, that a lot of the older generations aren't aware of face-to-face contact. It's just through a screen.
Yeah.
Um, but there is a returning that I think, like the millennials, we struggle with phone calls, and we struggle.
Mhm.
Like I would way rather text my friend than receive a phone call or talk to them in person. Like it's just like,
Mhm.
it's interesting. So there's actually a surprise of Gen Z is a little more personable than I think a lot of the other generations would think,
Yeah.
because of the FaceTime feature. So, and Zoom and COVID, I think has thrown this generation into that, because they were separated from each other.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just interesting facts that I've
Yeah.
discovered just spending a lot of time with them.
Yeah, heck yeah. Yeah, definitely true. Now that you say that, I definitely recall times where some of my students FaceTime me. I'm like, why are they FaceTiming
Oh,
me?
all the time. I'm like, don't FaceTime me. Don't.
Yeah. Um, so that's awesome. So they definitely are a generation. They are craving that connection. They're craving the face-to-face connection.
Yeah.
I would love for you to answer the question of, so what does actual connection look like? I think it's easy for someone like even someone who's older, even myself,
Mhm.
to like say talk to a student, talk to someone who's a Gen Z, and just a short interaction, be like, oh wow, I'm connecting with the younger generation. But they would not say that. They would be like, oh, they just said hi or whatever. So to specifically even to a someone who's from Gen Z, what does connection actually look like?
I think this is something that is, I feel like it's a lot more simple than a lot of people think it is. It can be very intimidating, but I feel like this is something that every generation has struggled with for the next generation. I mean, you look at the 60s and you see like the hippies and all the generation before that. It's like, what's wrong with them? Like, it's a
Right.
reoccurring thing. And so I would encourage older generations, especially, just to take the pressure off yourself of like, this is a generation that's unlike any other, and I can't unlock the secret to connect to them. It's really just the age old story of like, my parents don't get me, my grandparents don't get me. It's the same thing that you dealt with as a kid. And taking that pressure off of yourself, you don't need to know the latest TikTok like app. You don't need to know the latest whatever. A Gen Z person is looking for connection just in the way that you're looking for connection. And it's through conversation, it's through the biggest thing. And I'll say this over and over in these questions. It's time. It's like you said, you can feel like, okay, I tried to have an interaction with that student, but they weren't looking up at me from their cell phone, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, we kind of connected, but it's just time. And it's
Yeah.
great. It's being gracious with them where they're at. It's the
Mhm.
younger generation is just like how you were when you were young. You're so old people, like, so I don't need to talk to those old people, whatever. It's the same story. And so just recognizing that whoever's listening to this, whatever you needed as a young person, they need the same thing. It's just, it feels like there's a gap because of phones, or it feels like there's a gap because maybe even some of the art of conversation has been lost in this generation of how to talk to adults, but
Yeah.
it's still there. It just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of investment in a conversation to keep prying past the one word response and to keep um, trying to share and to listen. Connection looks like listening, and asking
Yeah.
them questions. It just really, connection comes out of a place of humility. If you're not willing to bridge the gap of like, I'm willing to put down the fact that you're talking differently than I would want, or you're not responding the way I would want, and just say, I really do want connection with you, you'll find it. If you're really looking for connection, you'll get it. You just got to give it some time.
Yeah. Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
Such a great perspective. Really great.
Good.
So then, which kind of is a great lead in, kind of answered a little bit of this next question of what is this generation, Gen Z, looking for when it comes to connection? A couple of examples I wrote down, like, is it discipleship? Is it a friend, a coach, parental figure? What is it? And none of those. What, in your opinion, what is it?
I love that question. Because I think as adults, we really put a lot of pressure on ourselves. Like, I need to either, if a parent's listening to this, you feel like you need to be a parent, a best friend, a coach,
Mm.
everything. If you're just a person in the church or a person in the community, like, I really want to connect with the next generation. One, that's awesome. Thank you. Like, but two, take the pressure off of yourself of being, I feel like there's this pressure I need to be their really good friend.
Mhm.
And, um, take the peer aspect out of it. They have all of their needs met. with friendships of peer level. This generation, not only do they have their friends that they go to school with, they play sports with, their friends, like the regular, but they also have access to millions of friends through apps. So I have lots of students who consider this girl in Kentucky they've never met one of their best friends because they're super close through an app they share, an art app, and they're really close and they've interacted, even though they've never seen each other face to face. They have friends all over the world. And so when you realize my interaction with them is not going to be this peer level friendship, and that's okay. They're not looking for that from you as an adult. What they're looking for is connection that they need, the more of the coach, the mentor type relationship. And so when you kind of take out some of that stuff of, again, I don't have a TikTok account, but I have tons of young people that I invest into that would consider me one of their closest people that they can talk to, that they can share their heart with, that they can ask questions to, that they might not feel comfortable talking to their parents about. And I don't have to have all the latest apps or the whatever, like have to look like their friends, because they have that. They don't need another friend. They need someone who will be able to listen to them and offer them guidance and support and the consistency that an adult can offer that their friends might not be able to, because they're caught in the drama, their brains aren't fully developed, they can't offer that stability that an adult can offer. So I think just recognizing when you're approaching a young person of who am I actually, and that's what they want. They want authenticity. If you're trying to be this young, hip, cool kid, they're going to be like, what are you doing? And you're going to feel like, what am I doing? Just recognizing I'm here to bring wisdom and love and unconditional support, and they will absolutely open up to that type of connection with you. Again, if you're willing to be patient with it and slow about it and not be like, well, that one interaction was so awkward that I give up. You just consistently like, I'm here. And if you continue to put yourself out there, I have found pretty much every time they eventually let you in and connect with you. And it's so valuable and it's so deep and rich.
Yeah, it's almost the awkwardness is inevitable, but it's
for sure.
It's about the patience for that and pushing.
For sure. Sometimes you can feel like you're causing them pain by talking to them, but the truth is that they want it, whether or not they know it. It's just being patient to find that connection point with them. And, and it might look different than you expected. It might just be like the fact that you're okay listening to their music and you're just hanging out with them and they feel seen, or they feel like, okay, and just finding those connection points with them,
Yeah, I think too, the point you said earlier of just how it's almost like communication, actually having a conversation is a lost art with this generation of like, I don't know where to go. So yeah, it's I love that perspective. And I love that whole thing of like, they don't need another friend.
No, they don't. And you feel like you need to, but
it's definitely true. It's definitely true. So not every person is going to get involved in youth ministry. That's a given, whether it's in a church or even in an outreach center, whatever. So does that excuse someone from getting involved even on a personal level? Some might feel like they have hurdles or excuses. So then how does one push past those hurdles and excuses in order to stay involved or get involved?
Yeah, I'd say, we're all called to different things. Like I don't love like children's ministry. So I'm not in children's ministry, but that doesn't mean I'm like, I have my kids, so I'm connecting with them, but that doesn't mean like I'm not at all called to children at all, like to invest into them. And, I might, we're all called to different things in different seasons of life, but I would just challenge everyone listening that you've gotten here because someone has invested in some type of way, wherever you're at, in your walk with Jesus or who you are as a person, someone has given to you, someone has invested. And I feel like so much of what's happening in our culture, so much of what happens in society could be corrected just by, if everyone just reached back, and lead even one young person into wisdom and gave them guidance. And I think every person listening could think of a time that we're like, I really wish I had had someone to help me through that, or really wish I had had someone who to just kind of lead me along. And so I would challenge every person listening that even just one, I talk to my youth leaders a lot. We can, I have a big youth leader team and we have a big youth group. And so on Sunday nights is our nights. We are just kind of just extending to everybody, everyone who comes, we're just giving. But during the week, we all have just our 1 or 2 or 3, depending on the capacity of the leader, students but I'm really sewing into those students. Like I'm really giving to those students, and I'm there for the 12 o'clock in the morning text message, that they're struggling, or I'm checking in with them, or I'm just going to just their soccer game, or, praying for them. And just those investments might seem like just a few minutes of your time during the week, but it's life-changing for a student. And again, it's that consistent building for the relationship that when they hit a place of crisis or a place of I'm making a life-altering decision, they're including you in on it. And all those moments of investing over the weeks and the days, and you now have access to this person's life to share wisdom and truth with them at pivotal points. And I think I would challenge every person listening that who are you giving back to? And it might not be a teenager. It might be a college student, it might be a young couple or whatever, but who are you giving out to? Because that's really what discipleship is. Like if we're to be disciples of Christ, we need to be discipling others. And I personally believe that those teenage years are such huge years of deciding, like, is this for me? Like, who am I? Especially now in our culture, every part of who we are is being questioned. And so having someone to navigate through that, like that's just, it's life-changing. So that would be my challenge as a youth pastor, just to ask yourself, can I give to one? Can I give to just one?
Yeah. Love that. Wow. So this next part, you definitely obviously already hit it on, of just how Gen Z has access to so much information. YouTube literally is their teacher. I do it even. So I do it for any carb troubles I have or whatever. And so that generation is like, they're not going to ask anyone. They're going to go to their phones first. So so what does that tell us then about how we approach connection with them, how we approach that coach and guiding them, how we do that, because they really don't need new information.
Sure. I think there's a thing that has to be let go in us of, I have to teach them like practical stuff, because they're not going to come to you for that probably. But there's something that YouTube doesn't have, and that is your story. Because, even the Bible says we're set free by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. The word of our story, like our story, what happened to me, what happened to you, that's precious information they're never going to get on YouTube. And so when I share with a student my personal struggle and how I overcame that, or how Jesus met me in the dark moment and I found breakthrough, there's a connection that's made there. And I might not be teaching them how to fix something on their car or how to do the right, whatever fact, would normally have been passed down from generation to generation. I might not be teaching them something practical like that, but they are 100% looking for stories of hope and stories of encouragement and stories of, okay, you got through that, so I can get through that too. Or God forgave you for that and still used you. Like, okay, he can forgive me for my stuff and still have a plan for me. And those stories, whenever I share in youth group or whenever I'm on a one-on-one with students, they're locked in because it's my life, it's my story, and no one can take that from me. No one, it's what happened. And so I just would encourage everyone that, like, you might not be able to give them information because they have access to all of it. And then some will still ask, some will still say, I prefer a person over YouTube, but you can always share your story with a student and it will change their lives and they'll want to hear it.
Yeah. Wow. So good. Okay, last one. So I hear so many people just talk about how they don't know how to connect, communicate with young people, especially at youth age. You already said a few things, but what are a couple more practical steps they can start to take as just a closing question?
I just think, again, I said this in the beginning, but I'll say it again, just letting go of all pride, and you're probably right. Like, just knowing, like, you're probably right. That kid should put down their phones. They should stop looking at their phones and give you full eye contact. You're right. But if you get hung up on that and can't get past that, you'll never make the connection with the student or the young person. You just have to recognize, I have to be patient and continue to reach out. And I would encourage you to remember, like, Jesus has met us in all of our ridiculousness, and he has said, I'll look over that to get to your heart. And we have to just say, I'll look over how they're dressing, I'll look over how they're acting, how they're, again, glued to their phone, or they are having a hard time looking up, and I'll look into your heart, and I'll just keep being patient and keep investing, and eventually they will let you in if you can do that. And I know it feels like so backwards of, they should be asking me. They should be asking you. But just like when you were a young person, you weren't asking, an adult. Maybe you had more people skills. For sure, this generation does, especially if their parents aren't super intentional on, like, look at a grown up in the eye, like, they will be in their phones. But you just, if you really want to connect, just let it go and reach for their hearts, and keep trying to find a place of connection point, and you'll find it if you keep trying and pray. I'd say that too. The Holy Spirit and can go before you where you can't go. Like, pray for connection. If there's a grandson, or there's a student down the road, or whoever it might be that you really want to connect with, pray, God, give me a chance of opportunity to connect with them. Help me to find some common ground. And God will show you there's common ground. We're all breathing the same air. We're all people. We all have struggle. There's common ground to be found. You just gotta look a little. It's a treasure hunt, because the person's a treasure. And so you gotta say, I'm setting out to this, whatever the rough exterior, I'm going after the gold inside the student, and you'll find it for sure.
Yeah. Wow. So good. Love everything that you said so much. It's really set us up for everyone watching for our questions, especially the biggest thing. I want to reinforce what she said of just taking the pressure off. If you're coming into this, going into these questions, take the pressure off of yourself. God wants to use you, and young people want to be heard. They want to know your story. So as you go on these questions, they're going to pop up for 15 minutes. If you have to pause the video, definitely do so. If you're alone, just take these questions between you and God. If you're in your group, take that time to discuss it, and we'll see you guys back real soon. Hey everyone, and welcome back. I hope that was some awesome conversation that you had. Again, I just love what Jess was saying about taking the pressure off and really just accepting what your story is, and that you can use that to relate, to connect with this upcoming generation. They want to be heard, they need to be guided, and God wants to use you. Even like she said, even if it's just one person, who is He calling you to? Who can you reach back to help and guide? But I'm excited. Thank you again so much for joining us for Watch Parties, and I'm so excited for this Sunday. Hope to see you guys there, and I'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.